Well, good morning, everybody. We welcome you to the first Southwest Vermont CESA board meeting here on Thursday, August 6th, 2026. It is 10:10. We appreciate the patience. We are with our host here at Mill River. My name is Tim Payne. I am the superintendent of Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union. We should, for the purposes of notes, take a roll call of who is here and verify their appointment to represent their district. So again, my name is Tim Payne. I'm the superintendent of Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union, and I am the appointed representative from my district.
Cheryl Gonzalez, superintendent of Mill River Public Schools, and I am the appointed designee for my district.
Say the district.
Mill River Unified Union School District.
Chris Sell, I am the superintendent for the Greater Rutland County Supervisory Union, and I am the appointed representative for the Greater Rutland County Supervisory Union.
Meg Hunsinger, Superintendent Director of Southwest Vermont Regional Technical School District, and I'm the appointed representative for my district.
Brooke Olson-Farrell, Superintendent of the Slate Valley Unified School District, and I am the appointed representative for my district.
Okay, Randy Lowe, I am the superintendent for the Bennington Rutland Supervisory Union, and I have been appointed by the VRSU board to represent our supervisory union.
I'm Pam Reed. I'm the superintendent of Rutland City Public Schools and was appointed by the same unit.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rene Sanchez, and I am the superintendent of the Rutland Northeast Supervisory Union, and I am the appointed member of this board on behalf of Rutland Northeast.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is just a reminder to the folks who are tuning in or the folks who are in attendance, the review and purpose of and statutory authority of the CESA. Act 168 of 2024 established Vermont's framework for a regional educational service organization, originally known as a Board of Cooperative Educational Services, or BOCES. Act 70 renamed these organizations Cooperative Educational Service Areas, or CESAs, and established 7 of CESAs across the state. CESAs are regional service organizations created to help supervisory unions collaborate in providing programs, services, expertise, and operational support. CESAs are intended to maximize the impact of available resources, reduce duplication of services, expand educational opportunities, and improve the access to specialized expertise while preserving local governance. CESAs are service organizations, not a new layer of educational governance. They do not operate schools, levy taxes, replace local school boards, or assume authority over member supervisory unions. They exist to support member supervisory unions through regional collaboration and shared services. The legislation specifically intended, I'm popping up here, specifically intended to maximize the impact of available dollars through collaborative funding, reduce duplication of programs, personnel, and services, ensure every middle and high school student has a genuine opportunity to participate fully in and benefit from career and technical education, and contribute to the equalization of educational opportunities for all students. Any questions? Seeing none. Our next task is to elect a chair, which is required along with a treasurer. So I can start with, do I have a nomination for an election of a chair?
I'd like to nominate Rene Sanchez.
A second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Chris for the nomination, Brooke for the second. Any discussion? Any additional nominations? As eyes are averted. Understood. All right, I'll take the call. All those in favor of electing Renee as our chair moving forward, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Renee, congratulations. The meeting is yours.
Thank you. I'm just kidding.
Congratulations.
Okay. Thank you. Now, I think we should move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the election of a treasurer. So at this time, do we have any nominations for treasurer?
I nominate Tim Payne.
Oh, boy.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Tim Payne for treasurer. Are there any other nominations? Okay, so at this point, I will close the nominations. All those in favor of Tim Payne being elected to serve as the Southwest CESA treasurer, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Okay. Congratulations, Tim.
Congratulations, Tim.
Congratulations.
All I want to do is quote Ulysses S. Grant, but that's okay. All right.
So the next item on the agenda is the election of any additional officers, and I think we need to, as we have discussed, potentially at least somebody who is recording notes on a regular basis. Don't necessarily need for it to be the role of secretary, but somebody who is regularly responsible for taking notes for our meetings. So at this point, if I could have any nominations from the group for official note taker and recorder.
I'd like to nominate Randy Lowe.
Second. I second it.
Are there any other nominations? Since I'm hearing none, I will go ahead and close the nominations. All those in favor of electing Randy Lowe as the official Southwest CESA note taker, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Congratulations, Randy. The official.
It's my pleasure.
So the next item on the agenda is the creation of a regular meeting schedule. So this one, we knew that we needed to have, and we actually scheduled this one months in advance for whoever was going to serve as the directors. And so we are required to have at least 3 other meetings of the Southwest CESA. And so do we want, I guess we can have a discussion. I don't want to lead it. So I will just go ahead and open it up for discussion.
I think that if we're really going to make any headway, we need to meet more frequently than 3 times during the year.
I agree, Pam.
And I feel that, to add on to that, I agree. I think we should determine now, because our schedules get
Agreed.
Correct.
How often do people think we need to meet?
I think at least monthly. I mean, even more so if possibly at the beginning.
So Renee, at our GRCSU meeting, there was a concern just around meeting times. I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the board that we understand why we scheduled this meeting at 10 a.m., just because is when this group regularly meets. But we had a board member who expressed concern that if we were going to be meeting during the day, it might be problematic for members of the public to attend. Just wanted to put it out there just for consideration, discussion.
Okay. Thank you for that.
I guess I
Mike?
have a concern too, in that while the CESA information has been made available, we're still waiting for information around merger study. And so that'll be another layer of meetings on top of what we're already covering. So just a word of caution before we fill the calendar with CESA and then get our marching orders about merger study.
I'm concerned about trying to find evening meeting times with all of the board meetings we already have in the evenings, and the ability to find meetings where we can all attend in the evening. So I appreciate the accessibility of the public, but if we record everything and we are live streaming and we maybe create I guess I would propose, depending on where we land, regardless of where we land, a mechanism for the public to, whether it's through an email address or through a Google form, provide comments, questions, whatever, so that we have a way to collect information from people who may not be able to attend at whatever time we decide. I just think there's alternative ways for us to hear from the public and share information with the public other than the specific meeting time.
I also think we could meet earlier in the morning, which may
Yep.
be easier instead of the middle of the day.
So far, we have monthly, because it's kind of the first year of getting this off the ground. We also have the concerns of knowing that we already have embedded many board meetings due to many of our supervisory union, the nature of our supervisory union structure. We also know that there are meetings that are coming as a result of consolidation efforts that will likely take place in the evening as well. So with that being said, does anybody have a recommendation that we could start discussing?
So Renee, I know that this group meets on a bi-monthly basis. We do have scheduled drop-ins once a month in addition to our regular meeting. Would we want to consider the dates that we already have on the calendar for those drop-ins as meeting dates
Instead of the drop-ins?
instead of the drop-ins? And we still would keep our regular meeting just as a superintendent's group, but then the drop-in dates would, since those should already be on our calendars.
Like the second Friday of the month.
Correct. It is the
At-
second Friday of each month.
Second Friday of the month, maybe 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah. We currently have them scheduled at 8:30,
Yeah.
with the next one being
But in the
August 14th.
spirit of what Brooke said, I don't know how people feel about doing
Go earlier. if we-
even earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I have a conflict, but
Yeah. So
that
do
meeting's
give
always
another
a challenge.
different proposal.
I could, because it conflicts with the state school safety meetings, that time already. I mean, could we do the third Friday? I mean, I don't know. Third Friday of the month? I don't know.
That in general will work, I think, for me.
Yep.
There's going to be a couple of things that come up, but yeah, in general, I
Same.
think that's good.
Third Friday.
So proposal of the third Friday of the month? So do I
At
have
8
a,
o'clock?
do I have a motion?
Sorry, are we doing 8 o'clock or 8:30?
Could we do 8?
Eight's fine.
Do we
Let's
remote
just-
or in person?
Okay, let's get the motion and then we can have the discussion. So make the whole motion for what you're proposing. You move,
I move that we have our regular CESA meetings on the third Friday of each month,
at,
8 a.m.,
with in-person and virtual, or?
with in-person and virtual option.
Do I hear, is there a second?
Seconded. Discussion?
Yeah. Any
Okay.
discussion?
I am good with that. I could also do 8 o'clock if people want to bump it earlier. I know a lot of us are traveling, so earlier is, you and I are far, but,
It's an hour, it's not big.
right.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
Are
so
willing
if
to
we,
Continue it at Mill River? I'm
Well,
willing to continue hosting if that's.
I guess
works for everyone.
that's what I was gonna open up for discussion. Do we host at one location or do we rotate?
I think
Host at
we-
one location?
I think one location probably best.
One location is
And
fine.
Mill River works for
Um,
you. Coming from the
Yeah.
south might be a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think the consistency too of people knowing that it always
Mm-hmm.
is at one place, because if we move it around, somebody may accidentally go to the wrong place.
Yeah.
Yes,
mhm.
like one of us.
Do people want to stick with 8:30 or 8 o'clock?
I thought the motion was for 8.
It was 8, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. See, that's why. Okay, thank you.
You're doing a great job, Randy.
You're
Yeah,
doing
you're
great.
fire me.
You're doing great.
Maybe that's
I
what
don't think
happens.
so.
I just do a terrible job with this.
Corrective action plan.
Yeah, thank you. Hold regular CESA meetings at 8 o'clock with in-person and virtual options at Mill River. Right?
Yes.
That's where we're at? Okay. Oh, third, I didn't put that in here.
The third Friday.
Yep.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Yes, I have one thing to add.
Okay.
When do we want to start that? If we were to do the third Friday, we'd be looking at the 21st, or do we want to move it into September? Because I know we're all open.
Yeah.
I would
buildings.
propose September.
I can't do,
I
yeah,
can't do
that's
the
our convocation.
August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm in agreement.
Okay.
So it'd be
So,
September 18th
18th.
would be the first one.
And Renee, will you send out calendar invites with the Zoom link?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is September,
18.
18th.
September 18th, so we have the motion on the table. We've had discussion. Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor of having monthly Southwest CESA meetings on the third Friday of each month at 8 a.m.
In-person, virtual.
in person or virtual. It would also, I think at some point there, unless somebody's already looked at all of the dates, if any of those fall on a break or a holiday or something else, there may be an adjustment. That's not really part of the motion, but that would be something that we would publicize to let people know why it changed. So all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. All abstaining. Right.
And I do think they all work, I checked.
Okay.
Even November?
Even November?
Yeah, the 20th. Yeah,
Thanksgiving's like this year.
Thanksgiving's later. They all should work.
And now that I think February break is the last week of February,
Yes,
so,
that was the only one that would have been,
okay. Right, so we have our meeting dates. I will send those out.
Renee, in regards to additional officers, do you think we should have a vice chair? Or are you going to be at every one?
I think that's a very good
Good
point.
question.
Should
Sorry,
we-
I don't want to go back, but
No, no, that's fine.
I know it's something we briefly discussed and then,
Or is that something we could just appoint, like a pro temp
I don't know.
chair on the, if Renee's not there, we could just appoint a chair on that date if we needed to. I'm fine either way, but
I don't know.
So as of right now, I plan on being at all of them, but I think it would be safe for us to have one, just in case, because, who knows, the car may break down on the way here, and I won't be able to run the meeting. So let's go ahead and return to our election of additional officers. Are there any nominations for a vice chair who would be able to help run the meetings if I'm unavailable?
I don't necessarily want the nomination, but should you not be here, Renee, I'd be happy to step in and run the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
But I anticipate you'll be at every meeting,
I'll be at
correct?
every meeting, yeah. The only worst-case scenario is if I'm someplace else, I will still attend virtually.
So Chris is nominating Cheryl Gonzalez for vice chair, or I'm just going to put in vice chair. Do we have a
Second that.
second? Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other nominations, or anybody else would like to nominate themselves? Okay, so we'll close nominations. So all those in favor of appointing Cheryl Gonzalez as the vice chair of the Southwest CESA, please say yay.
Yay.
All those opposed, please say nay. All abstaining. Okay, congratulations, Cheryl. Fabulous. Okay. All right. The next item on our agenda is the discussion of bylaws development. And so we have a document that we've shared based on the CESA the CESA BOCES from the southeast part of the state that has been shared with us. And so at this point, is there any discussion or any other points that people would like to bring up about the draft bylaws that we have?
Renee, the one that I shared yesterday is one that I created. It's not from the Southeast.
Oh, it's not for, okay,
No, I don't
perfect.
have access to that.
Oh, okay.
And we haven't been able to get access to it. I mean, I just created it as a really rough draft, so
Okay.
it needs work, for sure.
So do we need to discuss a CESA bylaw?
I don't know if it makes sense. Do we want to discuss it here, or do we want a smaller subcommittee to work on it and bring it back to our next meeting?
I think it's already, it's a long document. And then I think this is just our operating. This also is not necessarily going to include kind of the policies that would
Right.
be running the actual organization. So I think it's a good start. So is that a motion to create a committee to review it?
I'll make that motion if you'd like me to.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
So the motion is to assemble a small working group to draft a set of CESA bylaws.
Yes.
Okay.
And bring to our September 18th meeting.
How many people do we think should be on that committee?
Do we need discussion?
I was
So-
just trying to get it in the motion, but
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
not. Maybe not. We can wait. I hate having to go back and amend.
Yeah,
motion
I
a million
think-
times.
I don't know, 3? Well, you don't want a quorum.
On a quorum, so I think 3 is manageable.
Well, I'd volunteer to be a part of that. I'd volunteer to be a part of that.
I would too.
I'll do it too. Oh,
Perfect.
Awesome, that was easy.
With 3 representatives.
Well, yeah.
So that we're moving to assemble a small working group to draft the CESA bylaws with 3 representatives. Okay. So is there a second?
I'll second it.
Now discussion?
Yeah.
I'm good with that if people are comfortable drafting and bringing something.
I think it's an effective use of time.
Is that, so the question that I would have for that, is that something that needs to be scheduled and calendared and warned, or since it is a committee meeting?
There's not a
It's not a
quorum.
committee, we didn't, it's
not-
a working group, right?
It's a working group. Yeah, it's a working group. Okay.
I'm wondering whether or not, whether we should discuss, I think that there's like a potential training or something on bylaw development. Is it something that we want this working group, somebody to attend or not? Like, I think we should be just open to having that conversation as a group about whether or not we would want those folks to attend, or it doesn't matter to us. Like, I don't know that I have any personal opinion, as much as I feel like we as a group should talk about it in case somebody comes back and says, did you do X, Y, or Z, or why or why not? I trust the
Yeah,
people
we don't have the
participating.
information on when and where that training is occurring yet. It's supposed to start in September, correct?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Maybe it's like if there's a training.
No, there's supposed to be, I believe, the cost for each CESA to join the training is $5,000 total, and we can use
For bylaws training?
Well, it's not just the bylaws, I believe it's to help with regional asset map. Like, I believe it's the whole structure of how to get up and going. And then we can use part of our $15,000 grant from the AOE for that, is my understanding. So that's nothing that we would be paying directly as a district for. I just don't have the information on the dates, but I think it definitely is important that we participate in that, probably.
Is that training being brought by, is that an
The
AOE thing? Okay.
Southeast CESA, I believe, Jill Graham.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I believe it's during the day, so.
Is it Vermont Learning, Vermont?
Learning
Collaborative.
Collaborative, I think.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, we may not be ready to do bylaws in September if we're gonna, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of this, we don't have a lot of guidance on.
Well, I think that also speaks to our next agenda item too.
Right.
Because that's going to be something where well, when we get to it, I'll say that again. But I think you're right. I think the bylaws is just something that if we are going to have something that is going to last and not having to be rewritten on a regular basis, then we should definitely make sure that we're adhering to the guidelines, the expectations brought by the state.
Yeah, agreed. And I'd also like us to work smarter, not harder on this.
Right.
If there's a vetted set of bylaws that,
Correct.
and process that have already been field tested and have support behind, have already been adjusted, I'd like to use that as a starting point, or consider that as a starting point.
And I've been talking with Chelsea from the VSA. She is gonna start to work on, hopefully, some materials for us, because it doesn't seem like anybody else is producing them right now.
So VSA might provide a starting point.
Yeah, I mean,
for us.
that's what
Okay.
Chelsea said to me last night.
Okay.
So one of the other things that the CESAs are different than, BOCES, they're different than
Yeah.
educational service centers from Texas. A state that has things that are very similar to CESAs is Oregon. And so they call them educational service districts. And so a colleague of mine is leads one of those educational service districts. So I can reach out to him and find out how they develop theirs.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think we should take a field trip.
Everybody in this room? Okay.
So we've got a motion on the table and a second to assemble a working group with 3 representatives to bring a draft to the September CESA meeting. We have not voted on that. And then after that, we probably should appoint the people, but, so we still have that vote.
Sounding like we might not be ready, though, for the September
Yep.
meeting.
We could
So
bring
that's-
we could always bring like a
What,
first
update
draft, right, or an
Yes,
update?
yep.
where we are.
So at this point, we have the motion on the floor to create the working group of 3 members of our committee for our bylaws. And so, for those in favor of the creation of that working group, please say yay.
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 For those for those opposed, please say nay. Abstaining? Okay, so the working group is appointed. And the members of the working group are Cheryl, Chris, and Brooke?
No, I had Pam, Chris, and.
Oh, Pam, Chris, and Brooke, okay.
No, Meg.
Chris and Meg.
Okay,
Yeah, Pam,
great,
Chris, and Meg.
sorry.
And
Cheryl, I just keep trying to give you more stuff.
I don't
Sorry.
You
care.
did some legwork on it.
It doesn't matter to me if you really want to be on it.
I mean, I can volunteer for the, if we're
I
doing
can't
regional asset
See how many
mapping.
edits.
Okay.
I can do that.
All
I
right.
feel like you've done some work on it, so I don't want to,
Okay, it really doesn't matter, but I'm fine with being on
Okay,
it.
so
I mean,
now,
I saw on your car, like, all these bylaw stickers. I think,
so we're
Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
adding Brooke,
Okay.
okay, and
taking me.
taking you off, okay.
Okay, so the appointed working group members for the bylaws development are Brooke, Chris, and Pam. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. The next item, as I kind of foreshadowed, is the regional asset mapping. And I think that is going to be an amazing opportunity for us to really get together and understand what resources our 7 entities have that we'll be able to share, that we will be able to bring along in order to support our students. That way, by having that in hand, we can best decide how the CESA can serve our schools, our taxpayers, and our students. And so it sounds, as Brooke brought up earlier, that there are going to be further trainings on how to do it rather than individual CESAs figuring out how to do it themselves. Randy?
Can you explain what regional asset mapping is?
Sure. So let's start with asset mapping. So it's the concept of everybody coming together and really being able to explain how they run their district, how they do things within their school district, what they have available as far as facilities, what they have available as far as whatever programs you have, how you run special education, whether you have certain positions within your school district. So there's going to be information about human resources, probably all the way down to, what SISs are we using, how we do transportation, how we do food services, things like that. So that way we're all on the same page, so that things that maybe we are missing, we can talk about, and because that would be an asset that's missing. But things that maybe we have in excess of, then that is something that we can definitely share across, whether it's district to district, or it actually becomes something that the CESA itself needs. Because I think in the long run, how the asset mapping will help us is if there's something that we're all missing, then that's something that we all really need to be a part of and include within the CESA. If there's something that some of us are missing, then it could be things that that just some of us are supported through the CESA.
And as a CESA, we must offer services in certain areas.
Right.
Like special education, business information technology, union district consultation, or creation, consultation and facilitation, professional development, curriculum, coordination, and transportation. We must, and facilities master planning, so we must offer services in all those areas. Whether or not a district buys into those services
Correct.
is another matter.
Do we know whether there's almost like a rubric or a more detailed document that we can each use to complete in order for us to make sure that we're reporting on the same information in the same way, to be able to have a meaningful conversation?
I'm hoping we're gonna get that in the training.
Okay,
'Cause
but right
I
now
don't
we
think it
don't. It's
exists.
not that I missed it. and-
No, I
okay.
don't
No.
think it exists.
And
Because I
so-
think that that's important, right? Like,
Right.
that when we do meet to discuss what is it that how do we approach human resources? What are the personnel we've got? What are their jobs and responsibilities? Are there things that could be combined potentially across the region? That we are all talking the same language and considering it the same way in order, because otherwise we're going to be all over the place. So
Yeah.
I think if we don't get that from the training, ultimately that's something that we're going to need
yeah,
to do, is develop our
absolutely.
own sort of guidance document or rubric doc to make sure we're
I would be.
on the same page.
I would be happy to do that. I think it might behoove us also to create a working committee for this.
Right.
Because then this working committee can make sure that there is, that this information is being shepherd it along within your districts, if you're the one who's running it. If not, you can put us in contact, or you can put the working group in contact with whoever it is within your district that's organizing it for you. One of the pieces that I think is important about the asset mapping that isn't a primary service priority according to the state, we as superintendents and as school districts have a lot of unfunded mandates that take up parts of people, parts of resources that we already have. I think that is something that we need to identify along with our service priorities that are listed here, to see if there is a way that we can start sharing resources in order to accomplish those.
Can I, and nobody may not know the answer, but is the goal this year to get our CESA up and going, just, the foundation of it? Or do we intend to be able to position our districts to positively impact our school budgets going into next year? Because if that's the goal this year, I'm not sure
That's a
we
pretty
have a
ambitious
reasonable,
goal.
Yeah, I don't
correct.
see how
So
we
I
can-
just want to make sure we all have the same understanding of the goal for this year.
You're going to be in budget planning in October. and we're
Well, I'm
gonna be-
already starting next
Yeah,
week, so,
3 meetings in.
yeah.
I think seeing that we're still trying to decide what information we need for regional asset mapping, developing like a common tool or resource that we're all filling out, I think it really makes more sense for us to really look at the 27, 28
Right.
budget cycles for any sort of shared programs or services or something that we identified areas.
Yeah,
It's going to be
I,
very difficult to do for this budget cycle.
correct, and I know this kind of goes with the asset mapping, this is why I bring it up. And if we're hiring an executive director and we have $50,000 in grant money for this year, we don't for the following year, so it does, right? So it does impact our budgets regardless, so I just think we need to be aware of that.
And that's just at a minimum. Because
Correct.
that's just for the director. That's not for any of the other needs that the
Support
director is going to
staff,
have.
legal requirements, so,
So hopefully through that training, they will give us an amount that we should be setting aside I think it's based on a per student. It's not equally cut. It's per
Correct.
student.
So, for a little bit more of a future, I mean, 2 reasonable tasks based on today's agenda for this year is we could get bylaws nailed down. Thank you, Brooke, for already drafting it, but, we'll be able to compare it to whatever the state comes out. We complete the mapping. That puts us on Chris's timeline of, all right, so fall of 27 and 28 budget cycle, you're plugging in numbers into your budget to say, hey, we're gonna have to hire an executive, we're gonna have to hire some people, but now you're in year 3 of this.
yeah, I mean, I think
Not
we
gonna
have to
jam us.
hire the executive director this year
Right.
with the grant money to get us going.
Right.
And I think you have to start building programs this spring in order to have it incorporated in future budget years. I think that's, yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to call out that 50,000 isn't very much when you consider hiring someone with this
Right,
skill
but-
set. So, I mean,
It's a-
I
It
agree
would
with
have
you,
to be
we need
somebody
to.
part-time.
Part-time, yeah.
And, retired,
Yeah.
maybe school.
Okay,
think
so
we-
that, I think, is getting on to.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
know.
getting
I
on.
just,
Agenda item 11, so.
Um,
But we're on I guess if we jump back to regional asset mapping, Renee just suggested that we develop a working
Yes.
group. So I'm wondering if we want to just try to wrap that conversation about whether we want to.
I can make a motion to develop a working group for regional asset mapping process or?
Tool.
Tool.
To develop an asset mapping tool to guide SU, SD, capture of assets for discussion at meetings? Okay.
Yes.
All right, and Brooke made the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Who got that?
Chris.
Chris, okay.
Any further discussion? The one thing I would add is that if there is additional information that comes from the state about how to do it and how to report it, then this group, I'm sure this group will be able to fold into the information that we receive into that expectation. But I can't imagine that the state would want to see it, but at least we have what we need in order for us to do our work.
Are we anticipating that they're going to give us guidance on that?
I think it would come through the Vermont Learning Collaborative. My understanding was that there would possibly be guidance. I don't think there's any guidance from the Agency of Education coming on any of this. So they were left out of the legislation.
Right. And I'm wondering if the committee can just go to the VLC, and ask them, what did you use as a tool to look at your asset mapping?
I think we can. I think it's just, they're going to want us to pay that 5,000, right? Like.
Oh, but I'm okay with that. I mean, my
Yeah.
personal opinion, if we're, $5,000 just for the one training on bylaws, like training I thought was excessive.
No, I think it's
But if it
multiple
includes
series,
multiple
right?
things,
I think
mean-
it's a series and it's for, my understanding was it's for a number of us to
Yeah, and I
attend.
think that would be a good use of that $15,000, right? Just my 2 cents.
Okay, are you
Okay,
ready to
so-
vote on that?
Yeah. So at this point, we will vote on the motion to create a working group to help supervise our regional asset mapping process. All those in favor, please say yay.
Yay. Yay.
All those opposed, please say nay. Okay, all abstaining? Okay, so we have a working group.
And do we want to appoint members?
I would like to be on it.
Okay, I would volunteer as well.
I think Megan had asked to be on
Right.
this as well.
Yeah, I can do it too.
So-
Awesome.
Renee, Randy, Meg?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, item 10 on our agenda, review of available startup funding. So there is the, I think, $15,000 in grant funding that we have access to, as well as a $50,000 grant for the potential executive director. And so is there, and we've already heard that there's, 5,000 of it could be used for the training that, regional mapping, or asset mapping and bylaws training. And then are there other sources of money available to us? Are there other needs that we are going to have to seek out with that $15,000?
I don't think there's other funds available to us unless we're all agreeing to pony up some, but I think otherwise it's the 15,000 and the 50,000. I mean, I do think possibly some of that 15,000, we might want to get a legal review of like the bylaws, that kind of, those kinds of things. I guess I'm fuzzy and I can go back and, we could go back and read the legislation, or maybe some of you know, who is the fiscal agent for that 15,000 and 50,000? Is it the CESA? But we don't really, where's that money going? I mean, I know Tim's the treasurer, so is it going to
Somewhere warm.
South? To manage, who's the fiscal agent? And I guess that's, a question I don't know the answer to, but maybe you guys do.
I haven't.
That is a great
I'm unclear
question.
about that as well. I think there's a lack of clarity on a number of
It might be
issues related to this.
good if we can generate a list
Of
of
questions, yeah.
questions.
For that matter, even the 50,000.
Right, like
I mean,
who, if we hire an
takes
executive
that money.
director, who's paying that person?
Right, exactly.
Right.
I mean, are we,
Right.
we're
I mean,
not
are
an
we starting in-
established entity, or are we?
Not
I,
at this time.
That we
well,
can,
they've.
Yeah.
I don't
we
know,
haven't-
have you set up the books yet for our bank account, Tim?
It's on my to-do list for
The
later
state has
today.
given us a name,
yeah,
but that's all. So that's where, so now we have to figure out, again, we're creating this entity basically today.
Yeah.
So we do have a lot of questions that either we can pepper out or we can attempt to answer over the course of the next
And
month.
who would answer us? Who would have the answers, I guess is my question.
It's a really good question. That's a good first question.
Yeah, who's our point of contact?
yeah, because Tim
And
can
where?
apply for the grant as the treasurer, but who does it go to?
Yeah, exactly. What entity?
I mean, I think we would likely have to create like a 5013.
Right.
CB, whatever it is,
We should.
B, I think. We'd have to create that.
Just no easy task.
No, I know, and we're not even prepared to.
Yeah, I think there's
create
just a
that.
whole, let's not maybe get
Yeah.
ahead of ourselves and try to get the answers to some of these questions. Somebody should be giving us some direction on this.
Yep.
Seems like a
A reasonable expectation.
reasonable
yeah.
expectation, yeah.
Yeah. What question, I guess, along those lines, Cheryl, and this is for everybody, is this, is a CESA a state entity, or is it a entity that's separate from the state?
I believe it's separate, and I take that only because I'm looking at this document that we were all sent about, ideas and things about CESA. A CESA shall employ an executive director.
Yep.
That, to me, tells me that we're a separate entity. There's also a whole bunch in here about a treasurer.
But I thought I also saw somewhere that people who work for it are able to enter the teacher retirement service. And
Right.
then if
They
you
are.
are. So can somebody who isn't working for the state
Oh.
Well, you
get
still-
teacher retirement funding?
Right?
But they
Yep.
still are, I think it's almost like, I don't know,
Yeah.
it'd probably be the same setup as almost like a school district. I mean,
Right.
because you will have union master agreements in the CESA, those types of things. I mean, to me, I feel it is like a BOCES. I know we just
Yeah.
didn't want to use the
Right.
BOCES term, but it is.
And that's why I'm concerned that we don't have the guidance yet
Oh,
to
I'm very
figure out
concerned.
if a new entity has been created that has to have public meetings,
Mm-hmm.
that has to have, that does provide retirement services for its employees, that it shouldn't have to have a 501. It's not a nonprofit.
Correct.
It's an arm of the
Correct.
state.
So it's not.
However, Chris points out in the notes, it said CESAs are independent public entities
Yeah.
and must establish appropriate financial systems.
So is,
It's not affiliated to anything directly to the state.
So, yeah.
Right, but
It does
in the
have to
law,
follow-
you have to offer you have to, yeah, I know.
Understood, but
Yeah.
I mean.
We also have to use their uniform chart of accounts and maintain the same financial statements and records.
So it's independent, but it's held to
Yeah.
Agency of Ed standards. Ooh,
Right.
Best of both worlds. But it's not an additional layer of management. We have
Not-
established that.
Governance.
Understood.
So, yeah, so it seems like there's, I don't know, like, it's a interesting duality, that's a paradox. And so, yeah, these are questions that we need to ask.
So can we get down to the details on that? Who's going to ask
So
and who are we going to ask?
Right.
with Tim as treasurer, it does say in this document that we're all given around the established financial systems, it does say that we have to establish an education cooperative fund. And there's responsibilities for the treasurer, so Tim will have to, between now and the next meeting, look to set some of these things up and then bring a report back to the board
Yeah.
with status of the cooperative fund and other items that are listed here.
I'm so sorry, Tim. I really didn't.
Hey, I missed one meeting, and this is what
Yeah.
happens.
It does say the board may provide reasonable compensation for treasurer services.
There you go.
Does,
You're gonna-
yeah.
Reasonable, Tim.
It also says that before the,
Pat on the back.
Which we have no money, so.
Familiar.
it also says that we have to ensure appropriate bonding and crime insurance coverage is in place before the treasurer starts.
Yep.
But you're off the hook for a while.
I'm happy to, I'm just taking notes for myself, but I'm happy to make some phone calls between now and the next meeting and say, hey, you know, who's the fiscal agent? Are we getting directions on what we need to set up, the bonding, things like that? At least we can determine for all of us who the point person is that.
Yes.
And maybe recommend that they hold a training session for all of the CESA treasurers to help them get started with this work. Like, I feel like there should be a shared responsibility and some leadership for us around this.
Yep.
Yeah, because I don't think it's just our CESA that
No.
has these questions. These are the same questions that because I think we're one of the last groups to meet.
We are? I
Um,
thought we
yes.
were one of the first.
No, because I've gotten questions from other
Okay.
CESAs about it through VSA, so, I think the question is who is driving the bus in terms of the training and the guidance.
Well, even just, yeah, and I think the guidance is the biggest piece, is that being able to have at least one or two people to be asking the questions, or
Right.
answering the questions.
Yeah. Oh, I may hit a couple of dead ends, but that's all right. I could at least report that out. in
Right.
September,
Yeah.
too.
And we have no money until we have a setup. so
Correct.
That's,
And I'm wondering, Tim, if you can reach out, since we're one of the last ones to meet, to the other treasurers in the other CESAs.
Yep.
I can also ask Chelsea, maybe she has a list going of
Yeah.
who all of the CESA boards are, and then
Well,
the
you probably talked to her
officers.
before me, but I'm happy to send her a text message.
Okay.
She's very responsive. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I was even thinking the same thing for you, Renee, as the chair.
yeah, I mean,
Just to like have another.
Yeah, right.
well, once we
Group
finish,
to
once
talk.
we finish up here, even before I start driving back, I can send her an email, let her
Yeah.
know, here's our officers, and if there is like a way for the officers to have their own
Yeah.
affinity groups, so that
Yes.
we can meet in between. Okay. And the last one, item 11. I don't know if this is something we want to talk about today, or if this is something that we want to, once we're able to identify more of the purpose of it, is the, potentially the hiring of an executive director and a timeline. While we do have 50,000 for this year, that's what we have available. So if, at this point, just like to open it up for discussion.
Does that 50,000, again, I don't know, I mean, I do have the whole bill here, but it's 152 pages. Does that have to be spent in this fiscal year? Does anyone know?
I have no idea.
I don't remember that.
I don't know off the top of my head, but potentially it could be, I don't, once we decide what we would like to do with an executive director, that might be, we'd have to also determine what is the salary moving forward.
I mean, in this document, it just says each CESA is eligible for a one-time $50,000 grant.
Right, through the grant.
It doesn't,
For the hiring of,
Right.
But it doesn't tell you when
But it-
when it needs to be
no.
spent.
I mean, I don't think we're in a position to put an ad out today for that.
No, I was gonna ask if there's a job description anywhere. Is anybody?
I think I'm sure there is one for the southeast. We just don't have it.
Yeah, I don't see us, until we get our feet on the ground with so many other things. It would be great to have somebody who could actually do all of these things that we are developing as items that are, that need to get the CESA off the ground, but until we know what direction we're taking, it'd be really hard to have somebody in place, because we'd be making things up for them to do.
Right.
Yeah, it just would be good if we are going to hire an executive director, that they would be part of that training, and if that training starts in September, I just don't know.
I don't see that as, I
Yeah,
can't even imagine us being even plausible to have an executive director before the first of the year. Like, I think there's so many things that we have to do.
We couldn't pay them, we don't have any kind of an account to pay them
Sure, they'd
from.
work pro bono.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to do this work for free?
Well, I think the other part too is, like, this initial training may just be for the boards, and it may not have things for the executive director to be a part of, so that would be, but again, we don't have anybody in place.
We don't even know what entity they're running. I mean, I think we have to look at asset mapping. We have to determine where do we want to start, what makes sense, and then have a job for an executive director to do for us as a starting point. We don't have anything. You want to run a CESA? We have no idea what we're doing. We have no idea what you'd be doing. But we'd love, I mean, it's irresponsible to take that step, from my opinion, this early.
We
Yeah.
can create a flyer.
So, it says that the funding period is for this school year, 26 through June of 27, although there may be some carry forward allowed, I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We could, depending on how things play out, we could request.
An extension? Yeah.
Or we can hire them in June.
So I believe we've to first identify what the scope of this position would be. We have to look at the qualifications, we have to develop all this.
Job description.
Correct, and expectations for year one and moving forward. So that may be something I think that we can continually, maybe in September, for the September meeting, bring information, then we discuss a certain aspect of that as a group about, the expectations, about the qualifications. I know that I receive executive search, as most of us probably do, just, about positions or openings nationally, and I just received one the other day for a CESA executive director position in Trumbull, Connecticut, which I can share with the group, which does list out a lot of these items, just for us to kind of see what other, entities that have been fully formed and are kind of well on their way, and what they're looking for, that we're not just kind of, blundering through this and trying to figure it
And
out.
I wonder if even reaching out to Southeast, the superintendents, specifically in the Southeast, who hired an executive director, they should have a job description.
Well, but I also think that who's interested in our position will be the scope. Like, if we end up focusing on, for instance, business transportation consolidation as a starting point, that might initially attract a certain type of director. If we decide we're gonna talk about professional development, curriculum alignment, or special education, like the focus areas that we identify as our starting point could solicit skill and interest based, different people might be interested based on what we decide we're actually in agreement that we want to sort of turn over to the CESA as a region. Because there's a huge difference between special education and transportation, right? So I just think we need to have a sense of what we're actually going to be doing before even looking at your job description. And I know it's going to extend out, but getting somebody initially interested on what the first wave of work is, I think is important.
So does anyone know, like, all of the required services that the CESA has to offer? When do those all required services have to be offered by? What's the date? Is it
I don't
28,
think there was a
29?
specific.
I haven't checked.
You don't think it was specific?
I haven't seen anything.
I don't remember reading specific deadline date either. I don't remember reading deadline dates for accomplishing anything with the CESA.
Yeah.
Other than
At the
get the
first
first
meeting.
meeting within 45 days and then 4 meetings a year. I mean, if anybody did 4 meetings a year, what would you accomplish in
Nothing.
like
Nothing.
a decade? I mean,
There's a lot of 2029 in here.
Here's the Randy I know.
Well, I mean, the summary that we have, it really, it doesn't give us, it doesn't say you have to have it at the startup, but only when requested by members, supervisory unions, and approved by the CESA board. So, of our service priorities. So they're not necessarily, we don't necessarily need to have them at the get-go.
Right.
We have them when they're requested and they're approved by the board. So we could start off with one thing, we could start off with multiple things. But we don't have to have them all when we're starting up.
Can we go back? Randy, you made a point that got me thinking is that, so you've got to get bylaws, you got to get mapping done, right? Goes to your job description. Like, we may first pass say, we don't have all these services to share. Maybe it's an area of need or whatever. But it helps inform of, all right, now we're going to go out and hire someone to coordinate this for us. So you have some pre-work. At the same time, the 50 grand is just for this year, hire them. I got to ask the silly question, if we're doing budget work in the next 6 weeks or so, should we talk about putting some money aside? Each one of us makes a commitment to say, hey, you know, because the salary is going to, you won't even have salary. By the time you get done with $50,000, you probably burn it in search. and-
benefits?
Yeah,
Even
exactly.
for a part-time
I also
person?
have a clarifier about that. I heard someone say earlier that the share is based on pupil count.
Yes.
But
That's what
we-
the proposal was.
Right, but we don't, we also can choose to buy into services or not. So let's say I don't need to buy into special education, so Rutland City doesn't buy in for that purpose, but other people do. And let's say Rutland City doesn't use a lot of the services offered by the CESA, but Rutland City's responsibility to pay for the executive director will be greater because we have a greater
Yes.
student count, even if we don't use the services?
Yes.
Yes.
Interesting, thank you.
The other thing is, there is specific things where we're supposed to, it's on page 34 and 35 of when we have to have things up and running, in the actual law of the 152-page document. It says, beginning July 1st, 2026, we're required to offer services when requested and approved by the CESA board of special ed, business information technology, administrative services, and,
So when requested by the CESA board, not requested
no,
to the
sorry.
CESA board?
No, requested to the CESA board and approved by the CESA board. We're required to offer special ed, business, IT, admin services, and
Sorry, what was that date, bro?
What was the room number?
July 1.
What was the
July
page?
1 this year.
Oh, okay.
And then
What was the
make
page number?
it says
34.
30, starts on 33, 34, 35. There's a phase-in, I guess. I don't know. Oh, and it goes on to 36, yeah. And July 1st to 27, professional development, curriculum coordination, transportation, and facilities master planning. I don't know what happens if you don't, but just saying.
Duly noted. Oh,
So, can we jump back just for a moment? I'm thinking about Pam's question. We are all sitting here,
We're required to be a member.
everyone is required.
Correct.
Not everyone's, really?
Yes.
I thought people could opt, okay, okay,
No,
okay,
you
okay,
cannot,
okay,
you
okay.
can opt
So-
in and out of services, but you're required to be a
So,
member of the
in this-
And
CESA.
you can request to join another CESA.
Correct.
Yes, okay. In the spirit of budget development for FY '28, does it make sense, connected to this agenda item, for us to at least begin a discussion that we plan on finishing in September about how much we want to have available through the CESA for an executive director in 2028, then we determine what is the
Yes.
per pupil.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I think we need to, and I think we need to do that now. And then somebody will determine what that cost is per
The
district.
treasurer.
and Include it in, the treasurer doesn't deal, this might, okay, maybe it is.
There's two treasurers in the
Maybe there is treasurer, so.
There's a figurehead,
I don't know.
and then there's a practical person who actually balances your ledger, so I know.
So do we want to start a conversation of that, Renee, now, or do you want to wait? What,
Well, I
think I'm right, too. Thanks, Pam.
I think we're going to have to, we're going to have to determine, what the membership fees are, because that's something that I have been having discussions about the last couple of days, because you have to be a member. They've said that the cost is that. We know that there's at least an executive director who will have a salary plus other things. So you're right. I mean, we do need to talk about what that looks like.
So, and Renee, I think
And what the percentage is for each.
what's been shared with me by board members and committee members, the concern is this going to end up costing us more money than what we, than the previous year by operating the CESA? So
In the
this was supposed
first
to be-
year,
this-
probably.
This is supposed to be put into place to help look for efficiencies, scale,
As of July 1st.
redundancies, and look at ways to reduce costs for each of our district RSUs. But in looking at this initial setup, we might actually be going back to our boards and saying, well, bad news, we need more money for the CESA. And I think
Right.
that's just something we have to be
Unless
very
we
careful.
say that's, unless we're saying in September, for example, all IT services are at the CESA for next year, and
And then we're just
time-wise,
eliminating that.
and then
How
we're
do we do-
eliminating those
right.
positions locally, like for an example. I
Or
mean,
move
benefits, an
that.
HR
If-
benefits position, because we all are under the same healthcare.
so if we're not gonna do that, like in September or October, be in the position to make those decisions, then it probably will cost us more money in the first year.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
There's
we're
no
gonna
way
be-
it's not going
We're
to.
going to
Right.
be adding a budget line into our budgets for an executive director of a CESA that at this point won't come, unless we do something, won't come with a
Savings to the following
savings or
year.
a budget line reduction someplace else in the budget. Unless we can figure something out that we all agree to. Your point's great, Brooke. That has a significant cost associated with it.
And
But
we
then we
have-
don't know what the cost will be from the CESA to then purchase those. So yes, we're
No,
going to
we
take
have to
them
do
out.
that all in 2 months. Yeah, we'd have to figure that out in the next 2 months.
I'm gonna reflect living on the southern border. Montpelier's far away, so I am gonna ask the question, who's gonna show up and say you didn't nail things on a given timeline?
No,
From a practical,
exactly, I don't know.
all of us are, all of us have gone through a budget process. We don't have any of the inputs, and you're trying to make your best guess. It's just gonna be, I say we focus on getting the bylaws nailed down, figuring out the scope of what we have in the region, which was really what I thought the intent of was CESA, like, what could a neighbor share with you, the transportation, foods,
Right.
student services. Spend your year doing really solid foundational work. It gives you a much better picture of like, all right, it's gonna be a part-time person, we're thinking this is the cost, and you have a much more rational budget discussion with the board that says, what's this gonna cost us?
Yeah, but it is gonna cost you something in the first
Oh,
year.
absolutely, but instead of going
Or
whole
first-
hog and trying to get there.
And I think we have to remember, we are a service organization as well. It states clearly right here that we do not operate schools, do not levy tax, replace local school boards, or assume authority over our SUs or our SDs. We exist to support member supervisory unions through collaboration and shared services. So there's a lot of conversations we have to have with our SUs, with our districts, all this. It's like, we can't just operate in a vacuum and just say, even in that truncated timeline, which we all know is next to impossible to do that, we won't be able to do that, because we still have to go back and work with our own, like I said, respective SUs and districts to, so it's going to take some time.
Yeah,
For us
because
to-
your local
correct.
your local board would have to determine if they're going to cut those services locally and
Correct.
transition them to the CESA. That's not,
Well, I think ultimately, again, I think you guys are helping me to really think through this. At the end of the day, I don't know what your budget development process is, but I, propose a budget to the board. There's discussions, the public weighs in, the board weighs in, we make adjustments. The board decides in January what they're gonna put forth to the voters. At the end of the day, whatever we decide has to go through layers of approval. And we don't know what happens in March. You know what I mean? Like, and I know this is just one item, but it's hard to build this work under the current funding model and under the, getting this started, and this money's just not gonna, it's gonna be a point of tension for all of us, I think.
yeah.
And let me add one more layer to that, is that, so if we decide what it's going to look like for 27, 28, I know that my SU board budget has to be in place before it goes to my school district
Right,
budgets.
right.
So we're talking December, early December?
Yep.
Right.
That
That's
has to
when-
be pretty much set for it to be voted on.
Yeah,
Which would
that's when
mean that
mine
the
is, too.
assessment that comes from the CESA has to pretty much be done by early November.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's 3 months from now.
Yeah.
I also wondered,
That's my timeline too, because we like to have our budget done in December so we can get it to our sending districts. So that,
I also wondered what the role of the CTE is in this. I mean, are we counting your student count as well into the mix?
don't
Because
know,
that
because
doesn't
then it's
necessarily make
double
sense, because
counting
it's double count,
kids.
right.
Right.
Exactly.
I think I'm free.
Yeah, I think you might be.
he's paying.
You're welcome.
I'm pretty sure somewhere along the line, we're still paying. So, I guess I'll contribute to this discussion to say, I move that we consider including $100,000 in the CESA budget for an executive director of the Southwest region for FY '28.
Is that a motion?
It was.
Okay,
As a starting point for us to talk about how we want to approach the money.
okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, discussion.
Is that full-time or part-time?
I think we need to talk about it, but I'm trying to figure out if we want to at least
I mean,
start a conversation
right,
here. I'm
I think
starting
we
with a
need to
figure
start,
that
right.
includes a salary, benefits, and everyone might say, holy cow, no way, but at least we're starting with something.
So
I'm
that-
not convinced, I'm not.
Well, I don't think we
Not
can get
thinking
a,
this is the perfect
I don't
number
think we
myself.
can get a CESA off the ground without an executive director, so.
So that's in addition to the $50,000
Well, the
grant.
50,000's for this
Right.
year, the 100,000 would be for the next
FY
FY
Okay.
'28.
How are we setting the salary if we don't have any idea what the job requirements are, like the amount of time?
I'm not.
I mean, I think we're kind of, because we just said that we have to discuss, but now we're throwing money out there. I don't understand how we can.
Because we need to, when we're developing budgets this fall, have a figure to include in the budgets. So I'm just saying.
But I'm gonna have a hard time going back to my SU and explaining that, hey, we have X amount of money for a position that we have not yet defined, and we don't really know what the hours are, what the qualifications be. That's gonna be hard for me to go back to my SU with that. So I think it's
And we
something
don't
which.
even know how much
So-
the district would be
Right,
putting in.
but
Right.
we need something to be able to engage in those conversations with our SU boards. Like,
But do we have to make that motion today?
I think that I'm putting it on the table so that we can have a discussion, not that we need to vote on it, but so that we as a group can say, okay, 100,000, I'm not willing to vote exactly this, I'm not willing to vote on a number. But we've got to go back to boards and have a conversation, because for sure by October, we need to know what we're going to include in the CESA budget for it, so that you know what to include in your budget. So we may say, I'm putting a number on for this motion just for the sake of generating exactly this conversation, not saying we're going to vote on anything today, but to say, okay, how do we go back and talk to our vote? How do we go back and talk to our boards? How do we find out what's important to them? What do we think is important so that we can have the right conversation in September and make the vote in October, and not face, at that point, the hard conversations with our boards.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, I just am trying to get it on the table for us to have this conversation.
And I think it's definitely a starting point, because that's just the salary. That doesn't include the amount that's going to be included.
Yeah,
for
I mean, who
running the
knows
office.
what it'll
Right.
actually be. I think we've got to.
Just,
There's
way
no,
the
oh, you
pattern-
seconded it? Okay, sorry.
I
No, that's-
second it, so we could discuss it.
Thanks.
the pattern has been that the state legislature comes back every year and putters with this. I just put a note, perhaps it's something for us to consider, is talking to elected officials and saying, hey, you know, your whole idea of saving money and saving or sharing resources is gonna hang us in 3 months when we talk about budget, because we're trying to hit a mythical number that you didn't, it's another unfunded mandate. Like, giving them very concrete
Yep.
feedback. Maybe they're watching these and getting feedback, but, and I don't, my current cohort of elected officials doesn't sit in any positions of power as far as the educational fund, with the exception of Senator Baumgart, so if
Well,
other
we have
folks.
quite a few in Rutland County, Addison, Rutland County that do, so.
But giving them that's a very, I would clearly share that with folks, is here's another expense we're gonna incur. State requires no funding attached to it, and this one's a mystery number. We're not really sure what we're trying to hit.
And I don't want the narrative to be, because of the tight timeline, that's the way it's, you know, I don't see us standing up like the IT services, consolidated
No way.
transportation, any of that stuff for the next budget cycle because of the compacted timeline. So if that was the hope, you know, that's not the reality on the ground, so.
I think as we figure out the numbers, we also need to have a few things answered. One would be, are we dividing by 8? Are we dividing by, I mean, are we using 7 districts?
I think
not
it says
CTE?
80.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
don't know.
so then, right, so I understand the per pupil thing. So would that be ADM as of October 1st? I don't know if it said
It
specifically,
might, I
but what is
don't
the?
know.
So I think as we figure out the amount, it would be important for me to know how we're dividing that, so that then we do have firm numbers to work with.
Yep.
And as I'm listening to all of this, I hear more questions than answers, right? And questions that we don't even know who to ask or who would have the answer. I'm wondering if we slow it down a little bit and simply focus on doing our bylaws development, and then, what was the next thing? Our
Asset map.
asset mapping. And leave it at that, because I think Tim hit it right on the head when he says, so we're going to go to our voters ultimately and say, hey, by the way, you know, I want 20 grand for this position that I don't really know what they're going to do, I don't, you know, and yes, it's supposed to save money, but it's costing us money, and we don't fully understand what we're doing. So wouldn't it, you know, so my thought is, let's just slow, if we can, just slow it down a little bit and not get ahead of ourselves and just focus on those two things. Because I
Yeah.
do think that our asset mapping could take us a while.
So how, I guess, how are you proposing we tackle the funding for an executive director in FY '28?
I'm not. I don't know.
Because
Yeah.
the other
I
side thing
don't have an
deficit
answer
spend in
to
all
it.
of our districts, like none of us budget
Right.
anything. And then we go to our boards and say, sorry, we owe $25,000
Right.
for a CESA, and we didn't budget for it.
Yeah, I know.
But maybe, again, maybe that's part of the conversations that we have with our boards now. We don't know what, we want to be responsible. These are some estimates, depending on the cost, and
But where are we
and frankly,
pulling our
budget, they
estimates?
can, every district can handle it differently. We may say we're gonna include it in the budget, you may decide we're not including it, and we know we might be deficit spending in FY '28, but we're not willing to commit the funds right now and present it to the voters. Everyone could take their own approach.
I also think that this is it will behoove the state for all the executive directors of CESAs and the treasurers of CESAs to begin these conversations, because we really are on the clock. And I don't know if that's something that, if they're all expected to do the same thing, why have more than one job description? Why have a different salary? Things like that. So rather than us acting in isolation as one of seven, we should be doing it across the seven, so that it's less time on everybody's part. So when we finish this meeting, I'll email Chelsea and see if I can get those affinity groups started.
Sounds good, Renee.
It's a good idea.
Because 3 months is scary.
It is. And we're just throwing numbers out there with no reasoning behind it.
Renee, I agree. I just think that a measured approach, especially, again, I'll go back to, you're also going to be doing merger studies this year.
Right.
They haven't even hired a lead facilitator. There's no documentation of what that path looks like. And you want to talk about a number, you got to have a report generated out of that bugger in less than a year. So part of me is saying, this, at least we can control the tempo, manage the game clock. They may, in a year, the legislature may not have a stomach for, 2 pathways at once. Well, this was really more than we should have bitten into. And then we're going to look silly when we come back and they can CESA, we're going to kick that out for 5 years or whatever. So I would rather focus on doing things well, get your bylaws nailed down, talk about what you're going to ask somebody, a yet-to-be-hired employee to do for you, find out what we can share with each other. And I guess, the urgency of that. And it was a good question. I think Randy talked about deficit versus, we've all figured it out. We've all had things blow up in the middle of a school. We shouldn't say that, but break in the middle of a school year, and you have to figure out how to get $5,000 to $10,000 swinging over to someplace that's not good work. But we'd figure that out. But different approaches to that.
I just think the transparency with the boards making the decisions is very important in this particular case, because they need to understand how this works, and being completely transparent with them. This, for me, is different than nuts, I need to move money from here to there because of a water main break or septic issue. So.
And for some of you, this would come out of your SU budget, so.
Correct.
It's different than.
Right.
And we also understand tolerance level of different districts and SUs as well.
Exactly.
While one SU district might say, that sounds great, others might say, it's too much.
Right.
Right.
So I think and go back to what Tim was saying, I think you hear a lot about with the merger studies, they talk about they operate in good faith. I think, from a CESA perspective, I think we're all operating in good faith.
Right.
We've had these discussions as a superintendent's group for years about how do we have more of a regional approach, how we can look at, offset services and programs, what does that look like? But we also understand that, we all want to be fiscally responsible, and you can't be fiscally responsible on an aggressive timeline where you're making bad decisions. And we have to really, make smart, data-informed decisions that really are going to, one, have our students' interest in mind, best interest in mind, and also have our communities in mind as well, that we are looking at, if we do go back to the community and say that there is an additional cost, here's why. But really our goal is to find these redundancies and ways that we can share services. And I think the asset mapping will really show a clear map forward for that to not just us, but to our boards and our community members about here's what we can accomplish in the next 2 to 3 or 4 years. But it's going to take some time. We're not going to just be there next year. So if we do this well.
I also think that, you just made me, Chris, think for the first time in this meeting about the layer of the merger processes, right? Because as we are asset mapping and considering places in which we can be more efficient as a region, the merger conversations and the potential switches to unified union school districts, that process has to include the potential benefits that a CESA could provide. And so we are trying to make decisions right now on a structure that I would argue is inherently inefficient for many, many reasons. And we have an opportunity through the CESA to gain efficiency, but their concurrent processes right now, building the CESA on what we have is likely not going to save any money. Building a CESA on top of what could be potentially programmatically, educationally really good for kids and financially really good for our communities. But I'm not sure how in this year or two we navigate the short-term costs for that longer-term gain. And I think that also is something from state level, I would like to see some guidance, direction, helping to inform the public as we're working through this timeline right now and this time period right now.
And we might be able to find, I mean, I don't always like the expression low-hanging fruit, but I know that as we look at ELL teachers, staffing in our district SUs, they're very difficult to find. But a lot of times we have to hire a 1.0 FTE for that position when we don't need a 1.0, but just because we're not gonna be able to hire a 0.4 or a 0.6. And so we're hiring 1.0, and then what do we do with that? But it might be an opportunity for us to work with, say, like Slate Valley or Rutland Northeast and say, well, we need 0.4, you need 0.4, and someone else needs a 0.2. The three of us can combine and hire that staff member, and, but those are
CESA
small
finds them.
things, but that's part of what this is meant to do. So
And
Randy-
that's what I think of when I think of the CESA, something very practical like that.
Right, but there's some, like I said, first steps, but then there's the bigger picture, which is going to take time.
Yeah. I mean, in other states where you're developing CESAs or cooperative education services, you know what the existing districts are going
That's
into the
right.
future.
That's
And
right.
we don't have that base. I mean, I don't even have that. I mean, we're going through an elementary school reorganization plan this year too, possibly repurposing all of our schools. So like, we have, in my district, we have, and so same with Randy, we have 3 different consolidation things happening at the same time.
Right.
We don't have a stable base of which to work from right now.
So Randy, in my, I was trying to figure, working through what you were saying. And so by having the CESA process running at the same time as the merger process, then, I should say, and as we're doing the asset mapping, then theoretically, as the new school districts come into being,
those districts can know what to offshore
Yes.
to the CESAs so that they don't have to pay for it to
Correct.
begin with.
Correct.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, correct. In a perfect world.
In a perfect world. Right. So, okay, so that does make sense. But and to Chris's point, it's going to cause it potentially could cause short-term pain for
Yes.
us because we're not all the way there yet.
Right.
Yeah, I like Randy's, the explanation, perfect. My concern is that the CESA seems to have groundwork already laid out, and we sprint ahead and we get a year ahead. And then out of the gate, the merger study, which is could be challenging for lots of communities, is gonna be much slower out of the gate, and then you're off. What you just talked about was great, like you gotta kind of be keeping one eye on each other as you're working along. We sprint out ahead in the CESA stuff. Surely it's not gonna save us any money in the beginning, which is an uphill conversation with boards and communities too.
And the merger groups are not the same as the CESA groups.
Correct.
So this group is not the merger group.
Correct.
Is it, I can't believe I'm saying this publicly.
We're supposed to provide
okay.
services. It's
But
one of the primary
if we-
services we're supposed to provide.
If we go back to what Brooke said, I think the language in the CESA is that we would bring service requests to the CESA.
So we just don't ask for any services.
Yes. So in the spirit of completely not doing this right and being very public in it, is that ultimately something that we agree as a board at this moment is not in the best interest of us or our communities to ask anything of ourselves
Or of the communities,
as, of our
really.
communities, of our schools, as we seek to not let that happen. We know the merger, the merger doc is due September 1st. We've got an intense heavy lift on that. Maybe to go back to your point, Cheryl, which is a great one, we really focus on all the things we talked about earlier and don't budget, but commit as a board that we're not gonna, bring service requests to the CESA this year in order to learn more. But that needs to be, I think, sort of a global commitment to ourselves in order to ultimately not spend money unnecessarily, make sure that the requests we're making to the districts, we stand by, know what we're doing, and have a better sense of what's happening with the mergers across the region.
So Randy, I agree with that. I think I just don't want people to misperceive the intent of that, because I know we talk about the good faith, but, I look at it in terms of, I think that's a conversation after we have the regional asset mapping, when we bring back and we have all this information, at that time, we can realistically map out, a timeline of services, what really makes sense. We may find that after looking at our regional asset mapping, that's, there's very little that we can really do in the short term, but as we look at year 2 or year 3, here's what we can move towards.
Right.
And I think that's just being, responsible. We've been looking at the information that we have in front of us, because I don't want people to think that we're, saying, well, we're not going to do anything year 1, we're just going to hold off. No, I think we are moving forward. We're going to be looking at once we have this tool in place, we have all this information, but I think realistically understanding the budget timelines and the way things move and hiring processes and all that we're really looking at maybe, the 27, 28 is when we really start to see some of these shared services and programs, but we're committing to that, but in the near future, but not right away, if that makes sense.
But that comes back to the budgeting for the position. If we're going to think we're going to do something in 27, 28, I'm still unclear, like from my perspective, I would want at least a fully transparent conversation with the board that
Correct.
we are planning on moving forward in the executive director, and either I'm saying I'm gonna for just a placeholder put in $25,000 into our budget, or we're not going to include it, but know that I might come back to you and say we are going to be deficit spending. We don't have a line item for this. I can't move money if I don't have a line item to put it to. So transparently know that I may come to you and say we now need to allocate this money.
Right.
So if we're looking at anything next year, it still comes back for me to the transparency around the executive director.
It's strategic planning is really what we're doing. We have to vision out, if, 5 years from now, what the CESA looks like. And we know there are a lot of other factors, but I think right now is, we're operating with very little to no information from the state about this. We're all trying to figure this out as we go along. But I think we have to really think about is when this is running well, what does that look like, and how do we get there, and what are the incremental steps we take to move forward?
This also goes back to Brooke's earlier question about, is the $50,000 grant, can we extend that into the next school year?
Sure.
As opposed to having to utilize it this year, because then that will
Yeah.
enable us to be able to reduce the amount of the budgetary process for our school districts.
And does that,
No, and then I am happy that the discussion did arise that CESA should provide services that the school districts request. And if we're not requesting them, then there's not anything necessarily attached to them. And not having an exec director also means no membership fees as of yet. So those are definitely questions that we can continue to seek guidance on.
could we use the $50,000? Does it have to be an executive
Yes.
director? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if we could use them to help us with these questions that we're struggling
I
with.
think that's the $15,000 that we can use for that. So, yeah, so if we use 5,000 for the training, then we have another 10,000 available to us. But again, we've got to figure out the grant and who the fiscal agent is and all of that.
And I do
I mean,
like the legal guidance, I think, is going to be important.
Yeah, and I don't
Yes.
want to, commit to not asking for services, because I do think we need to do, while I don't want to rush, I do think we need to do things differently. We can't continue to spend the amount of money we have, operate schools the way we're operating them, and expect different results. And so we seem to always kick the can down the road in Vermont, and I just think we need to start to take action on things. And so I don't want to wait too long. Because I do think there are huge potential benefits for students and taxpayers in a well-run CESA.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
And I do think it's going to take somebody in an executive director position to help with getting that off the ground, because we don't all have that kind of time to devote to it, to get it started. But I do think it potentially is worth the investment and could have huge benefits in the end. I mean, many of us have worked in other states and have seen that, so.
And while I do agree with that, there's huge potential for huge benefits. My concern is that if we move too fast without all the knowledge that we need behind it, then we're,
Yeah,
not
I mean,
going
there's a
to-
balance, there's
Yes.
a tipping point. I don't think we can wait too long, but I don't think we
That's
can.
well said, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we
there's a
hire an
balance.
executive director tomorrow.
And
Probably
the
not.
asset mapping might help us to
Yeah.
determine, like, wow, we really should take action on this. We'd all recognize significant SU or ST savings if we can tackle this. Like, I think that it might surface exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would support us asking whoever we have to ask for to maybe, research a potential request to, an extension for the 50,000 into the following year. But then as a group, like, work in our work groups, come back to the CESA, and then we might be in a position then where we can actually create a timeline, which will then help all of us around, do we need to include it in this coming budget or not?
So who is going to ask the AOE about the process or the possibility of the extension of the 50,000?
I
mean-
I have that on my list.
You have it on your list, okay, let me add it to my list for you.
And Chelsea's called me a couple times since we've been in here, so I'm happy to, happy to answer, ask her any questions. I'm going to talk to her later this afternoon, so anything you want me to ask her.
It doesn't
Let me
hurt
know.
to ask multiple people the same
Okay.
question.
Yes. Has anyone, as I'm sitting here, has anyone watched any of the other meetings of the CESA since we're one of the last? I
No?
think I'm going to do that.
Okay.
I will get back to, because I'm wondering, I'm assuming they probably had a lot of the same questions we did, right? And
Yes.
maybe they actually came up with answers. It would just be interesting to know what they do, right? And did they have a better resolution or a different answer to some of the questions?
There's an article, and I think one of the Burlington papers about the Champlain Valley, and it's very similar conversation where I'm like, we just don't have the answers, and a lot of unknown,
Okay.
and what the next steps would be, and so,
So I'm not likely to,
I think we're all trying to.
Yeah, I think we might all be in the same
I think that
spot.
the issue is we want to do the work, but we don't have the information
right,
yet to do that work,
right.
or the guidance. And I don't know if that was intentional, like, well, we'll just put out there and let them figure it out, and,
Right.
which wouldn't surprise me if that was part of the,
Well, I mean, it's interesting, they gave us a deadline to have these meetings,
right.
but the materials that we need for the meetings, while there are some kind of general guidance, there's a lot of things left unanswered.
And we're supposed to be operational as of
As of
today,
July
and
1.
we don't-
July
July
1st.
Well, right, July before even formed or met, so.
I don't know.
So do you want to take a vote on the motion?
So, yeah, so the vote,
yeah.
yeah, because so we do have a motion on the floor for setting aside $100,000 for an executive director salary.
Well, yes, I said budget position.
Okay, for the executive director position, so that we have something that we can take back to our boards just for discussion purposes. So I guess, so all those in favor of creating a placeholder for the $100,000 for an executive director salary, say yay.
For the FY '28 school
For
year.
FY '28 school year. Yes, FY '28. Okay. All those saying nay?
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Any abstentions? Okay. Answer is no. All right, that gets us to our last item, which is public comment. So thank you for coming to speak to the board. We appreciate your time, and we're happy for you as part of the meeting to get your comments on record and to our attention. If you choose to speak, please state your name, your town of residence, and then we'll get started. Anybody in the room for public comment today? Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, hi,
Either way.
I'm Ken Fredette from Wallingford. I served as a school board member for 20 years in this neighborhood, including in this building.
Welcome.
And thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'll be real quick. I got pulled out of retirement a couple years ago to form up a group called Friends of Vermont Public Education. And we're a nonprofit that watches what's going on under the Golden Dome pretty closely, and we work with legislators to craft language related to education bills coming up. And I invite you to join our mailing list. We send out alerts periodically, very few, 3 or 4 times, 5 or 6 times a year maybe, of when something's happening in Montpelier that everybody should know about. You can find us at savevtpubliced.org. And I'll send that out to, I guess, Randy is your note taker? Is that?
Randy is your note taker.
Thank you.
SaveVTpublicEd.org.
Yes, that's our website, and you can get on our mailing list there and see things we posted. And we're at your disposal if you know, I know this is going to be a challenge wading through this legislation. I know from experience about that. So please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. George Gonda, I live in Middletown Springs.
Sorry,
And
one last name, please, again, George.
George Gonda,
Gonda.
Middletown Springs. I just wonder if it's possible and if you would consider all the groundwork that needs to be done and research, if you would use your current staff and possibly use some of that grant money as stipends for any additional work to help you get this CESA board going. Especially anyone on your staff that may have worked for a BOCES or a similar organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody online who'd like to make public comment?
We see hands. I don't know if there's other people in the.
That's it.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, let me make
I
sure.
was thinking you had a whole bunch of people on there.
There's a hand right
No.
there.
I just wanted to know whether, Adrian Raymond from Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to have a list for notices of any information that's coming out of your group for the public, since the meetings are in the middle of the day, and I happen to be able to come with them.
List for, so posting of, or.
Well, or a mailing list to know when your next meetings are with a link, that kind of thing, like what the schools do for any of your other meetings, since you're now a
Sure.
public body, and it'd be great if you can.
We will post our agendas like we did for this one. I don't know if every single one of us posted it. I know you.
Yeah, I
did.
posted it the same way we do a board meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, so did we. And then I assume we will have minutes.
Yes, and like,
We just have to figure out how we're getting the minutes out, but we'll work, I'll get that.
Okay.
I'll probably send it to all of you to post in your communities as we do
That
the
works for
agendas.
me. Yeah.
And-
But I think, I know we're not supposed to respond to public comment, but can I say something?
Sure.
Adrian just brought up a point that we talked about earlier in the meeting about whether or not we want to have a communication mechanism for the public to be able to, whether it's a Google form they complete that gets reviewed by Renee before the meeting or as we're developing the agenda or whatever, so that different communities can all funnel to one place.
I think, so that's a great idea, and then it sounds like a potential Google form could also be, do you want to, when we send it out, just be included?
Included in that. I am willing, if the board's okay with it, when we send out, I will create a Google Doc in our office, and I will put the form into the minutes and make a comment on there. If anybody in the public has comments or questions, feel free to complete this. I'll make sure we are co-owners of it.
Right.
We'll do that way. Does that sound reasonable to folks? As a way initially for us to get started with having access to information? Okay.
Yeah, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, did you mention that we were going to create a web page?
We
I
have
think it's
to.
a requirement.
It's a requirement. My communications person created a web page for me on our Slate Valley.
A CESA webpage?
Yeah, so we're just going to post all of our stuff on there, but I don't know if we're supposed to have, just as a placeholder, we're supposed to have one where everyone goes
I'd
to.
rather have one that we all on our district pages say, for information on the Southwest CESA, go here, and there's only
link.
one. I just think that's super important, that there's consistent
And I
information going on.
thought Tim had mentioned that in a meeting we had, so that's why I had to
Startup
put you on
of
the spot.
CESA says we must have a webpage.
Yeah.
Would these be items we want to put on the agenda for communication, a website? Because I think we have to look at, from a tech standpoint, who's going to manage and maintain that, oversee that, and
I mean, I'm happy to volunteer my communications
Sure,
person to do
that'd be
that, since we already have one started, but
already-
But if
When you
somebody
say-
else really
Are you just
wants
putting
it-
a tab on your website, so, on your
Yeah, that says
district
C-
website, and if you want to see CESA information, you're clicking it and.
well, right now I have the agenda on there, I have,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
That's what I would use my
Yeah.
communication person for as well.
We just
I would
put it
just put a
But
tab on it.
I'm
Okay.
happy to have my communications person
Create
create it,
website.
monitor it, send it to you all, and you guys can just put it on your, I don't know how that works.
So is that a
Yeah.
CESA website though, or is it
No.
all on our?
It's all on your own, but
It's all on
then,
your own.
how does that work?
I
It
want
has
to be
to be
able
a
to link
webpage.
We have to
to
have our
the
own.
Southwest CESA webpage.
Yes.
should be a separate
That's,
page.
it
So we've
has to
got to
be its
create a.
own.
We've gotta create a
Southwest
website.
CESA
Yeah, so
Would that
we'd have
person be
to,
willing to do that?
Well, I need to ask.
yeah, find out, and and Brooke, if that's not possible, we can take care of it, so, because it sounds like not again, this is another question, is it a standalone site that's not
It
part
is.
of
It
our
probably
website?
is.
So
It
that
is.
involves, so that right there is going to be some of the $15,000, because we have to purchase the domain
Well,
name.
I haven't-
We have to do all those things too.
Does
so.
anybody have, I have a web page that I already own that I'm not using. But I have no comms person, and I can't manage it. If we've got somebody, I'm happy to have one of your people manage the page. We own it.
All right, is it, I don't know a lot about this, but is it like Apogee?
Yes.
I'm sure Lisa, well,
Okay, we will talk.
okay.
I'll start, I've got the page, whoever ends up with the people to manage the page. Okay.
All right, so.
Okay, yeah, that'll,
Yeah, so Randy and I can try to work together on that and then bring back a
So it
report
happens when
in
you close-
September.
When you close a school, you have an extra webpage.
there
Okay.
you go.
Okay. Yeah, I think that that's important.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, the long roundabout question, ma'am, yes, we will create a form for noticing.
And I just put that on there, so we will make sure that we get it.
Okay. Melinda?
I think you just answered my question. It was about website posting and public access.
Okay, thank you. Debbie had her hand up, but Debbie's not in the room anymore. Okay. All right, I think that gets us to the end of our agenda. So at this point, I would take a motion to dismiss.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
Is that Chris?
All right,
Pam, second.
all right. All those in favor?
Right.
Okay, we're good at 11:56.